maybe this is about to fuck you up, but can I posit one of the reasons?
Well, I haven't gotten to the main reason yet. Go ahead.
It's definitely what I think.
You might be about to hit it.
They have money to spend
exactly,
on drugs.
yes,
It's like
yes,
every poor person
yes,
wants to do that
yes,
amount of drugs.
Yes, no,
They
yes.
just didn't have the money.
That was I was building up to that,
Yeah.
but you got there in front of me.
I
yes.
could not. I mean,
yes, no, yeah. The main thing is they have access to the funds to
Right.
do so.
like
To
a poor kid would love to do that cocaine.
right, yeah,
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Tony Braxton, holy shit.
Tony Braxton, y'all. What's up, Airheads? We're back. That's Tony Braxton. That's your Tony Braxton. Yeah. Any Tony should be like, hey, unbreak my heart. Hey.
Oh, nice. That was
Say you love me again, bitch. Oh, sorry. Sorry to Tony Braxton. I'm not sorry.
That was a real Braxton brag there,
I'm not
huh?
sorry to any Tonys out there.
No,
other
hell
than
no.
Like all the Tonys. I'm not apologizing to them.
Hey, what is an Italian wish that they made on their test?
What?
Hey.
All right, here we are. This is the, 20-something episode.
24th, I believe.
24th episode of Puttin On Airs. We're glad to be here tonight. We're back to normal. I'm going to be doing the Venn diagram where fancy people and trash people overlap. Classic topic. I don't know how I didn't get here before tonight. Drugs, which is one of those, we've had a few of these where it's like, yeah, those hit for everybody. But still counts.
All our job is to discuss
Right.
the way that it hits.
The fact
for
that it
these
hits for
people.
everybody does not
Everything hits for everybody, but
Right.
we're going to discuss the way in which it hits, because just because something hits for everybody doesn't mean that it hits in the same way for everybody. For
Right.
instance, Jennifer Aniston hits for both me and my wife. Very different reasons. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Why she hit for your wife?
She's a great actress.
Yeah, there you go. And she is for you because her hair?
I respect her hair. Yes.
I also respect Jennifer Aniston's hair.
I do too. I mean, not many people have had a haircut that people call the them.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the Rachel.
That's how you know you hit.
Right. When you have, or if you don't hit, like Hitler, like the mustache. You know what I mean?
Hell, yeah, you're right.
Like,
yeah.
Like Groucho Marx, Charlie Chaplin also had that mustache, but like, it's the Hitler.
Dude, how wild was it when Michael Jordan was just
Had the
like, I'm going to
Hitler-
have the Hitler. It's just like, if anybody can reclaim this, it's me.
I think
And
that
it's
that's what
like-
it was.
and it's like, buddy, you hit, don't get me wrong, but you are not taking back the Hitler mustache.
But don't you think that that's a little bit what that was?
Yeah.
Like,
it had to be something. Dude, there's no way that was an accident.
No.
There's no way he didn't think about it.
I think-
And what else could he have been thinking other than like, yeah, I could pull that. I'm one of the 0.00001% of people on planet Earth
More famous than Hitler.
who can make this hit.
Right. He was definitely hanging out with a bunch of his gambling buddies, and he was going to shave, and he did what everybody. I make a Hitler mustache when I shave. Like, I don't.
Sure. It's almost part of the natural process.
Yeah,
of
you shave this.
shaving.
Right. Now, I rarely shave, but the only times I ever shave is for like a Comedy Central sketch. And every single time I do, I shave it down and just look at myself in the mirror and just go, oh, shaver, Don't isolate that. But, but what happened was he did that, and then one of his boys was just like, you got to get rid of that. And he was like, what? Why? And they were like, well, there's a Hitler mustache. And he was like, you know what? Fuck that. I hit. I can bring this back.
And then I feel like every single person who saw that Hanes commercial was like, why's he got a Hitler
mustache?
mustache?
Of course. No one, and,
Like-
and then some pedantic motherfucker was like, well, I think it's a Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, also no one has ever like since seen that mustache be like, look at that Jordan mustache he's got. Like,
and also,
that's never happening.
And he's the first time we've seen it since Hitler.
Well, it's also like, I'm sure you do know this, but you know that the swastika is like a Hindu.
Yoga.
It's
Yeah.
like a Hindu spiritual thing. Russ, don't pull the swastika up. That's fine. We all know what it looks like.
Yeah.
We can do without it. But
We've all drawn a box and erased some
But yeah,
of it.
but that's one of the things. Is just like you just ain't
You
getting
can't
that
do
back.
it.
Like anytime there's something
Confederate flag,
like there'll
same
be like a
thing.
story about some fucking douchebag pizza guy at a Domino's making the pepperonis be in a shape of a swastika or something like that.
Yeah.
There'll always be somebody in the comments being like, well, you know that the swastika is actually a Hindu sign for whatever. And it's like,
But it's not now.
okay,
It's not now.
But bro.
Yeah.
No, it ain't.
You know, OJ was actually a running back for the.
It is, but it ain't. Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's like, that's not what we think about anymore.
Right.
And like,
and
you just can't.
Never will be.
Is it worth it?
Right.
No.
Right.
No one. I can posit that you've not seen one son of a bitch walking around with a swastika on their T-shirt in the past 100 years that was like, I stretch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not their fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get, well, because it's always, you know, some white trash motherfucker that's got like a tattoo of a skull on his neck that's got more teeth than he does.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's never like, if it was an Indian
Tushar,
dude,
yeah.
Tushar, buddy Tushar.
And he would rock a swastika, just meeting us at a bar like, what's up, guys? Y'all like my new shirt? Skeet the deet.
But yeah, then maybe I might think twice. But generally, I see a swastika.
Don't wear a swastika.
Generally, I see a swastika and I'm thinking, don't hit.
Don't hit, yeah.
That's just me. That's just
Me too.
That's just the type of guy I am.
Me too.
I see a swastika and I think that don't hit.
And I don't want to paint with a broad brush in this way.
Of course
not. But I'm not for swastikas.
No.
Why did we get into this? Oh, Hitler mustache. I'm also not for the this, which, like, again, everyone, when they're trying to compare Stalin and Mussolini versus Hitler, we've all got a Stalin mustache. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the mustache didn't go away. It was just the little fucking... And for the record, as soon as you saw a motherfucker with that type of mustache, we all should have known, I don't know about this. You know what I mean? Because, like, even who before? It's him and Charlie Chaplin, the only motherfuckers that ever had that mustache. That's not a normal mustache to have. That don't hit. That don't hit.
No, that don't hit. You're 100% right. But I think at the time it was happening, Charlie Chaplin, he did hit. So it's
he hit so hard.
But
he did get ostracized.
Like, he was like a clown, you know?
Yeah.
Like...
Could I talk about him on the show? He was kind of fancy.
I guess. I don't know much about him. I mean, I know...
You don't know much about him? You know he was ostracized to Britain for a very long time and then only was able to come back to get an Academy Award. Like, he was ostracized from the country.
Because of Red Scare
communist shit.
Being a commie?
Communist shit. Yeah.
That didn't hit.
No, the Red Scare didn't hit.
No, Red Scare didn't hit. That's another thing. We've always said that.
He came back and got the biggest standing ovation in
Red
Academy
Scare,
Award.
Hitler, 9/11.
Yep. Hitler mustaches. Plague. Swastikas.
Syphilis. Dick plague.
Dick plague don't hit.
Don't hit.
We'll add to it.
We've always said it don't hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, before we get into the shit we got going on, you had something you wanted to talk about. You were at the airport earlier because you've had some airport bullshit going on. And you found some tabloids that have to do with fancy people, which they pretty much always do.
That's the only point of a tabloid. Like, tabloids are never getting into, like, some, what's the word for not fancy or not celebrity? Trash. Yeah. Well, I guess they kind of do, but, like, only a famous trash person. Like, Honey Boo Boo's definitely been in the tabloids.
Right.
But...
You're right. Well, they're like exclusively for
It's
trash.
for famous stuff. Like, Newsweek will break a story about somebody you've never heard. The tabloids are, the person that's on the front of the tabloid, everyone knows who the fuck it is. It's one of the most famous people on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but their whole thing is like, is your brain trash?
Right.
Look at this.
Yeah, right. 100%.
Point your trash brain towards this. Look at this.
It's the soap opera in print.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I came across this. I saw a couple of them, and this one was, there was actually two right in a row American tabloids that both had royals on the front of them. Right? And this one was Prince Harry living a lie. And I was like, well, I got to check that out. But then the story that struck me had nothing to do with Prince Harry. Well, I say nothing to do with Prince Harry. It's got to do with Kate and Will. Because I saw this, Trey. The Queen puts Kate and Will on a budget. Yeah.
Only $85 million this quarter.
Clipping coupons in Windsor.
You've gotten extravagant. We've got
So-
to get it down a little bit.
If you would have me, I would like to it's just a couple paragraphs here. If I could just read this to you.
Yes.
So the Queen there's a picture of Queen Elizabeth up here at the top looking like she's actually writing out a budget, and the blurb under it was, the Queen was irked to, well, I should do it in the voice. The Queen was irked to see the couple splurged on a charter flight to the royal premiere of the James Bond film No Time to Die in September. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
That irked her?
They took a private...
I would have thought it took a lot more than that to irk the Queen.
Especially because she was in a James Bond movie.
Dude, in her life, she ain't been irked by uprisings and shit.
And first,
civil unrest has not irked this lady.
And can I say something real quick without everybody getting mad? Probably not. She's going to die in 6 months. Bitch, just don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
Buddy. I'm starting to think she's immortal. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, no, she will die. She's sort of like Tom Brady's career. You know what I mean?
You think
it's like
over.
We're all like, well, it can't go on forever. But then at a certain point in every year, you're like, I don't know.
But when
maybe
would it
this
end?
can go on forever.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, like, at 96 years old, which is what I think she is, if I'm still worried about money, I've not lived my best life. You know what I mean? But she clearly still is. So let me read this to you.
Well, but do you think it's money or more like the
look? It's how it looks.
Right.
It's how it looked. But again, like, just go lay in your bed and cough for 6 more months and you're dead. Like, who gives a shit about what it looks like? Like, what it looks like is that you killed Princess Diana. You know what I'm saying? So, like, okay, all right, okay. I'm just saying. Oh, yeah, you killed Princess Diana, but some motherfucker can't take a boat to go see James Bond? Okay.
Go in, Cho. How about that?
All right, I'm sorry. Shit, I didn't mean to get this controversial. Let me read this to you, Trae. The Queen puts Kate and Will on a budget. Queen Elizabeth II is tightening the palace purse strings. A source tells Life and Style the monarch, 96, has ordered Prince William and Duchess Kate, both 40, which I didn't know, to rein in their spending after an annual sovereign grant report was released revealing that royal expenditure reached an all-time high last year, which, to be fair, inflation.
Fucking Joe Biden's running their budget up over there,
I'm saying.
buddy. Joe Biden fucking up the Crown's budget.
There's a sticker on their yacht of Joe Biden going, I did this. Right. So figures show that the firm's expenses increased 17% to over $122 million.
In what time period?
In, I guess, a year, which was just them. But by the way, 22% of $122 million, I would say it's probably close to you going, maybe just spend $85 million. Yeah. Like, you kind of nailed that, he says, knowing no math of this at all.
No, it ain't that, but it's still a lot.
Russ, look up 17% of $122 million.
17%.
What? Do it. Which was the cost of the royal family's travel. That was just their travel. That's how much their travel cost. Soaring 40% to $5.3 million. William and Kate's Caribbean tour proved the priciest, costing British taxpayers a whopping that had some vomit in it. $274,000 just to fuel the RAF Voyager, which I assume stands for Royal as Fuck, and pay a separate staff to plan their visits to Belize, Jamaica, and the Bahamas amid public outcry. The Queen summoned William and Kate to Windsor Castle for an urgent meeting, says the source. How do you think that went?
The meeting?
Yeah. Can you do a Queen?
No, I can only do Philip. I don't know.
Dude, don't do Philip. The ghost of Philip talking about their budget.
Yes, I don't know why you went and saw those island blacks. The amount of money.
All this money for the blacks.
For the blacks in the islands. And didn't we give up on them ages ago?
How much is a spear? She demanded they curb their spending and even asked...
We've got sugar cane.
Take off that hat. And even asked one of the secretaries to put together a budget spreadsheet. So William and Kate have like a fucking Microsoft Excel in front of them before they do anything, which the Queen instructed they stick to. As for Kate and William's plan to move to Windsor, the Queen has banned them from hiring an expensive interior designer, the source says. She wants to teach them a lesson that money does not grow on trees.
Shit. Come on. In the fucking royal family?
It does grow on trees for them.
Of course it does. That's like, they have money trees.
Right.
They like Kendrick Lamar, dog.
Yeah, right.
They got fucking money trees.
Pull up.
Like fucking, like what's their takeaway from that supposed to be? Just like,
I can't wait till this bitch dies.
dude, you know they got to be thinking that.
Oh, dude. It's like, dude, now listen.
Granny said no.
When my grandma died at 96, okay? And you know this. That was my favorite lady in the world. I was distraught. We just started the tour. I did not want my grandmother to die. But every now and then, when I would go see her at the old folks' home and she'd be on some fucking like next level bullshit, I'd be like,
okay,
let's wrap this up. Hey, you know what I mean?
About that time.
Come on, everybody. Yeah. And like, if you're them and it's that, but you stand to inherit $900 billion, bro,
like,
they've got a doomsday clock.
If everything you just said about your granny, but on top of it, she was telling you to fly your private jet to the Caribbean less.
Yeah.
It would have been amplified a lot more.
Oh, I'd have put a silk pillow over her fucking face. I guarantee you that. So, one more thing from this tabloid before we move on. I would like to go to Life and Style's biggest spenders, Trae, as this is getting out of the royal world, but this is just people spending money, which I find, I think that goes with the show. Life and Style's biggest spenders of the week, okay? $11 million. Who do you think spent $11 million on a 200-year-old Brooklyn townhouse?
I'm cheating. Was it Kanye West?
Nope, Amy Schumer.
Oh, okay.
And I'm impressed by that. And for the record, I got love for Amy Schumer. I know a lot of people dog on her, but like, she's a fucking great comedian. She's worked her ass off. She hadn't been in the news in a long time. Spending $11 million on a fucking home is some serious dough to throw down. So congratulations to Amy Schumer, $11 million. Someone just spent $400,000 on an Egyptian-themed chain for their girlfriend. Can you imagine who that was?
Young Thug? Kanye.
No. Swizz Beatz.
Swizz Beatz still out here slinging it like that.
And do you know who he's dating and he
Buying
bought this for?
mummy necklaces?
Yes. And do you know who he bought it for?
No.
Alicia Keys.
Oh, that's
Power
sweet.
couple of the year, in my opinion. All right.
Yeah, and the year is 2005.
Do you know about Hermes bags?
Yeah,
they're them bags that just cost a lot for no goddamn reason.
Yes, I do know that, but I don't know. Is that how you say it?
Hermes, Hermes.
I don't know. I like to know how you say it, just because I know. Because like I think we told the story
Russ,
before.
Google call my wife.
I wanted to buy Katie a nice purse for Christmas. You know this whole story.
Yes, I do.
And I was looking into it. It's like, what are the nicest purses? And I looked, and it was like Hermes or Hermes.
I think it's Hermes.
It looks like Hermes, the fucking Greek god.
Yeah, that's how I've always said it.
Running fast.
Yeah, he could book.
Yeah, motherfucker was mo-docking, baby. Hermes was. But anyway, I looked that up, and I was like, all right, how much them cost? And it was like $10,000. I was like, shit.
But dude, that ain't shit for one of those bags. And I say that because Kylie Jenner bought one for $60,000. $60,000 also coming in next. Haley Baldwin rocked a pair of Tiffany hardware link earrings. The earrings cost $14.5 thousand.
Haley Baldwin?
That's Alex's daughter.
Okay.
I think
the one he called a fat pig.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, they're big ears. So
Not fat, by the way. She's definitely not fat.
No, she's hot.
No, I know, but he famously called one of his daughters.
So this is actually the least money this last one's the least money, but because of the item that it is, it might be the most egregious. This is Jessica Alba rocking a $1,000 Christian Dior visor. A visor. With an earring, I get. It's jewels. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's made, like, at least has a diamond in it or some shit like that. This is just a fucking visor that motherfucker...
Who the fuck wears visors, man?
Dude, not me. It's
fucking
the opposite of the hat I need.
Tennis coaches, like...
Yeah.
Fucking... This whole segment here is just proving to me...
Can we do this
like,
more often? I had fun doing this.
That you can hit real hard
and
for a while.
Dumb. Yeah, right.
And then stop hitting completely.
Uh-huh.
But still hit real hard.
Because you...
In terms of
dude,
money.
that's the thing about how money works. Like... I was thinking about it with like Amy Schumer, and again, I'm not shitting on Amy Schumer.
So once you get a bunch of it, you good.
Well, like as long as you have the right person on your team.
Stupid shit with
because the thing is like everybody's like, I hadn't seen Amy Schumer in a while. How's she making this money? Well, it's not like she made $11 million on tour last year. It's just that when she made her first initial money, she bought a restaurant. She bought a fucking skyrise in a place that when the market was good. You know what I'm saying? Like. The thing about money is
we call that the one good lick
right?
doctrine.
The one good lick. Like, dude, the thing is, the thing that's way more insane is not someone coming from nothing that builds something. It's someone who has so much that somehow loses it, because it's so hard to, like, if you just get a little bit of money and you make one good decision, then that good decision pays off and you make one good decision off that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of got to not be dumb. Like, if you make X amount of dollars.
But I think it's money dumb, though, because, like, I feel like there's just been so many athletes. I feel like...
Well, they get the wrong people in there. I feel
like, basically, if you come from fucking pure trash like I do, this is why I worry about myself. I'm probably going to die penniless.
Well, yeah, and Amy Schumer's Chuck Schumer's fucking niece or whatever.
Right. And I'm nowhere near approaching that level, but I think even if I was... I could still find a way to fuck all that up.
Bro, I've blown every dollar I've ever made.
But it just seems like... Because you're right. Once you have enough money, you should just have more money after that for forever. But, like, so many people have proven that's not true, and I think I could definitely be one of those people. It's like, if you're money dumb enough...
I could, too, but I'm just saying, like, it's not unsurprising. Like, there was a meme that went around of, like, Chameleonaire sitting courtside of a Lakers game. And this was, like, a year ago. And everybody's like, Chameleonaire ain't had a song since blah, 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 blah. And so they put that on Twitter, and somebody like who knew about all Chameleonaire's bullshit was like, what y'all don't understand is Chameleonaire had that one song, and he's a very smart businessman. He took all that money, he invested it in this holding, this whatever. He started a restaurant, he took that and blah, 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 blah. So like someone, just because someone's not in the public hitting right now doesn't mean that they didn't go, okay, I took that one good lick and now I'm going to like...
One good lick.
You can do it. And now, but the thing is, a lot of people get bad advice because when you start getting a lot of that money, every motherfucker on earth is in your ear. Dude, we don't even really hit, but we do decent. And I've got motherfuckers coming up to me all the time. It's like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm just like, that sounds insane. And then like 2 years later, I look back and I go, I would have just given them $40,000 and got absolutely nothing fucking back from it. But like if you got good people in your circle, you make a couple good decisions. Then if you've got $11 million to spend on one home, you could just sit that money in an account that yielded a lot of interest and just live in a townhouse and not do a goddamn thing the rest of your life. So, like, my point is, just because Amy Schumer ain't put out a special in the past 5 years, it's not unsurprising that the niece or cousin of Chuck Schumer just bought a fucking, Brooklyn brick house.
No, dude, hell no. Fucking hits beget hits, you know?
Dude, I don't know if we ever talked about this on the show. The second I hit that one good lick, y'all all know it. Because it'll be the last episode of Puttin On Airs. I can guarantee goddamn to you.
One good lick, buddy.
Over. I'm in a fucking cabin buying a restaurant. Fucking producer Russ can run the kitchen. I know you know how.
Yeah. Definitely.
You like pasta? Never ending? I know you do.
That's my favorite kind of pasta. I hate when that shit ends.
Don't hit.
Can't stand it.
Don't hit. All right, let's get into it.
Never mind.
No, go ahead. No, what?
Well, I was going to
regrettable?
say, does Chameleonaire kind of look like 50 Cent to you right there? But then I did kind of a whole, like, they all look alike. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't mean that, but, like, his eyes really do look like 50 Cent.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fuck. Cut it. I looked over there and I was like, why does Russ have 50 Cent pulled up? And then I was like, oh, we just talked about Chameleonaire. And then I was like, damn, Chameleonaire and 50 Cent kind of look alike. And then I was like, oh, no.
He looks like maybe like, yeah, kind of like.
He looks like 50 Cent when he lost a lot of weight to play that cancer victim in that movie.
Yeah.
He's a bad facsimile.
That would hit for Chameleonaire.
Yeah.
Like, you look like the cancer version of 50 Cent. Which is funny because 50 Cent is the opposite of that. We all saw him at the Super Bowl.
So fat.
My favorite tweet about that was like, damn, y'all, I knew inflation was out of control, but fuck, 50 Cent's 74 cents out here.
Dude, and he was upside down.
Upside down, yeah. Out of breath.
It made him hit so much harder for me because you know that they did a practice run of that, and he very much could have been like, I don't like the way
This
I
ain't
look.
it, yeah.
And he was just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm going to go buy out the whole front row of Ja Rule shit tomorrow.
Dude,
I don't
I was
give a
about to
fuck.
say, dude, 50 Cent is
He's
hilarious.
He's the funniest dude there is.
I mean, you know, he's probably also whatever. I don't know all the things that 50 Cent has done. I'm sure plenty of them don't hit, but he's very fucking funny.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. The whole, like, telling Floyd Mayweather he
If
would
you can
donate
read-
$1 million to a charity of his choice if he could read one page from a Harry Potter book. That's so fucking funny, dude.
Oh, dude, he's hilarious.
And then, yeah, as you alluded to, just because Ja Rule don't hit for him, he bought out the first 250 seats at the Ja Rule concert and left them empty just because fuck him.
And all his masters.
No, yeah, before all that, he bought all Ja Rule's masters
so
just
every
so Ja
time
Rule
you-
would die destitute.
Yeah, every time you hear a Ja Rule song,
Like, that's what
50
you get
Cent,
for hating, motherfucker.
Do people know that? We talked about it on the show.
I don't
Just so
believe-
we won't get into it a lot, but every time you hear a Ja Rule song,
So never.
so, right, but if you do, 50 Cent gets paid, not Ja Rule.
Mhm.
Amazing. Y'all, summertime may be coming to an end, but it's still time to bring a little heat into the bedroom. And the temperatures ain't going to be the only thing rising, baby. That's right. This episode is sponsored by our good friends over at Blue Chew. Guys, confidence can take you far in life, and it can also help in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. And that's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises, whenever you get that tap on the shoulder, as it were, whenever you get the hot tag, baby. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you're going to receive your prescription within days. Trust me, I know. I do it all the time. And the best part is that it's all online, so you don't have to go down to the pharmacy and see the girl that you used to go to high school with. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do any of that. I've been using Blue Chew for I think 6 years now. It is just part of my well, I would love to say daily life, but let's not give me and my wife that much credit. But it's a huge part of that part of our life. Matter of fact, I don't think my wife would want me to go without it, because it's not that my wiener don't hit. It's just that my wiener hits even harder with Blue Chew. So if you could benefit from an extra nice, awesome wiener and confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can help. And we got a special deal just for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code POA at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code POA to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Get you a new wiener, folks.
All right, so my topic tonight, where fancy and trash overlap, drugs. Again, like I said, this is one of those things where it's like drugs hit for everybody. But in terms of fancy people, turns out rich people have major drug addiction problems. You know, I know that's not entirely
That was
surprising.
my rank in the military.
Major drug addiction problems? Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, it was a stretch.
Yeah. But they have, you know, so there's a lot of reasons why people think that wealthy people are more inclined to be addicted to drugs. One of them is, and I appreciate this being listed at the top, protection from natural consequences, right? Meaning, like, you know, they just know that things will hit for them.
Right.
It's like, why wouldn't they do drugs?
Exactly.
Nothing's
It's gonna
going
be fine.
to happen.
Right, like I could just go to rehab and then be done with it, and it's not like I'm going to lose my kids. It's not like I'm going to lose my job or like.
Whereas, like, dude, I don't know. I know that like teenagers are dumb and shit, so this could go either way. But
I was
like,
that.
Well, I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Because we like.
Well, it didn't.
It's funny. We still
Not
did.
consciously,
I
for the
say
record.
we did
Not
drugs.
consciously.
I say we did drugs. We were smoking weed. That's all it was.
Oh,
but
I did drugs.
But dude, we were constantly terrified that we were gonna get caught, go to jail or whatever all the time when I was a kid. So you didn't have that at all.
Well, no, that's not exactly true. It's just that like it. But okay. My no fear of consequences, I don't think had anything to do with my parents having money, because I did those same drugs with poor people who also didn't feel any of that because of the town we lived in, and we just knew all the cops. Like, nobody was really worried about it. But
yeah,
like,
maybe it could just be like a town to town thing, because our cops were massive fucking dickheads.
that ours ended up
who
being
lived
yeah.
to fuck with, especially teenagers. It was so annoying because we had a massive drug problem in our county, and it felt to us like the cops were doing nothing about it and focusing all their attention on telling us where we couldn't park, or pulling us over for speeding, or trying to go to the place where we all fucking smoked weed and fucked butts, and coming out there and like trying to send us all to jail and shit. Like, they were just always on our asses about something perpetually. And it made it seem like they didn't have nothing else to do, but they did have other shit they could have been doing.
Right.
They just weren't fucking doing it.
Right. In our town, like, it was a pretty safe place, like, for real. Like, when I was first growing up, before like the factory got broke down and then some real crime came in, because, you know, people needed money and they were terrified. But like before that, like, it really kind of was Mayberry, where like they were just like, all right, guys, like, we're just going to drive you home, whatever the fuck. It's no big problem. And then we had like a couple cops that came in towards my later years of high school that like they wanted to be the law and order motherfuckers. And then one old boy from Chickamauga, during a traffic stop, got out, beat that motherfucker's ass, pulled his gun out and shot him in the leg. And then they've stopped doing that. And
God damn.
Everything's kind of cool now. But like, again, like, it wasn't a money thing for me. Like, we just knew, like, all the cops grew up with everyone's dad, rich or poor. And like, the worst thing that was going to happen was they were going to be like, I'm going to drive you home. You're going to see your dad.
Dude,
how about that?
And I feel like, especially, you know, you watch Varsity Blues and what
It was
whatnot,
that was
like,
Chickamauga, bro.
If you're on the fucking football team, especially, that's what you'll
Yeah,
get. But
and
dude,
I was.
But dude, in Salina, like, our cops were just not, they were just assholes.
Yeah, ours
like,
weren't.
They would fucking,
Ours weren't at all.
They would harass you over nothing.
No, ours weren't
let
like
alone
that.
if they had an actual reason to fucking do it, you know?
We didn't have that a little bit. Like, we had carte blanche. Again, like,
Well, dude, it's funny because it's like,
if we smoked
as far
weed,
as I'm concerned, if you're talking about small town kids,
we're how it should be.
drinking beers around a fucking bonfire or whatever, like, they shouldn't fucking
I know,
throw your ass
we
in
had
jail
it good,
like that.
man.
Like, that's honestly the way they should do it.
I agree.
Take you home to daddy and let him whoop your ass with a belt or
There's
whatever.
no reason
and leave it at
there's no
that.
reason to give
Like,
you a
that's-
record for
that's
drinking.
What should happen.
Yes, of course.
But it just wasn't like that.
Yeah, so my
in
point
Salina.
is, like, I did definitely have the no fear of consequences, but I don't think that it had anything to do with the fact that my dad had money. Because again,
It was just everybody.
because the guy standing right beside me didn't have that, and he felt
Were
the same
all
way.
those guys, were they like popular kids that played sports and shit like that? Or was it? you
Yeah,
know what I
but
mean?
the
Like,
unpopular kids never worried about it because the cops would never even see them because they were in a basement. You know what I
right.
mean? Like,
places that don't hit.
yeah, right. We were in
They're
the
just
places
down
that
there not hitting.
Yeah, right. We were in the places that hit.
Yeah,
so
right.
like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it just wasn't like until I got a like older high school. Then we got that one motherfucker who like he used to work for the GBI, but he got kicked out of the GBI for being an
Dude.
asshole.
Bro.
So he comes to local city police and he's
Buddy.
like, "I'm gonna be GBI."
Buddy, we had a
He's
guy.
the one I choked out in the pool.
We had a guy that, and I'm not gonna say his name, but he was that like special forces acting motherfucker.
Officer
always.
Barbrady, yeah.
Dude, on Halloween night, because like in Salina on Halloween night, everybody's fucking throwing eggs at everybody and doing mischief, getting up to mischief, right? But it's just kids doing
You dress
kid
like
shit.
the devil, you fuck someone's
Well, so
butt.
this dude, this cop, every year on Halloween, and he was always like this, but this is just a good insight in the way he was. He would be like, he would have like camo face paint.
Oh my
on.
God.
I swear to God. Like he was fucking like zip lining down from a chopper, like 2, 3, 4, like fucking like he was special. He'd be done up in special forces.
Did y'all have
shit.
his funeral
And he
on
was like
January 7th? Or?
50 Right? Yeah, dude. Dude, I guarantee if he was still alive, he was probably there.
Yeah.
This motherfucker was, at this point in time, he was probably 52,
Right.
53, not ripped, just like looked like a 53-year-old dad. He
Paul
he
Blart.
looked like Paul Blart, you know,
But camoed out.
But camoed out, like special forces out on Halloween to shut down this fucking egg throwing shit.
Right.
And that's like, that was the vibe with the cops in Salina.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Dude, it's
I mean, I'm
so
not,
stupid.
now, for the record, don't let, if kids are throwing eggs at houses, go stop them from doing that.
Right.
But, like, don't do this whole, like, don't make them have fear of institutionalism for the rest of their goddamn life for it. And, like, we did not have that at all. But, like, I will say, I don't know, like, I was depressed. So I was doing drugs regardless. You know what I mean? If I had been poor, if I had been rich, I have a literal chemical imbalance. So ecstasy was what's up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it fills in all them
Voids.
chemical spices you don't have with
Exactly.
chemicals that hit.
Yes.
But it pulls other chemicals that hit from your brain to fill those spots. So when you wake up the next morning and that's gone, you ain't got no chemicals to hit,
Yep.
and it's devoid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's when I used to scream at women.
But in a moment, it hits.
Oh, so hard.
So, yeah. So, immunity from natural consequences, also less resilience, which I think this one's 100% true, where it's like people that grow up rich and spoiled and stuff, they don't, like, I remember, did you ever watch Titus, Christopher Titus's show, his sitcom?
Yes. It
Loved
was
it.
awesome. Ahead of
Loved
its
it.
time, in my opinion.
Absolutely ahead of his time. It was a fucking great show. I remember there's one scene.
Friend of the show, by the way. Titus.
Yeah, Titus is my buddy. I love Titus. But there was a scene from that show that I've always remembered, and it was him talking about this,
I know
where
what
he's
scene.
like, he was talking about how like he's almost grateful for growing up rough the way he did because he's equipped to deal with shit in life,
Right.
and people that did not grow up that way are not.
Yes.
And it cuts to his best friend who grew up all privileged and all this shit, and it's him and his toilet is overflowing,
Yeah.
and he looks up at the screen where the camera is and goes, "Is there no God?" Because like that just seems like the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody because they've never had to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
Right? So like for rich people, they don't have the resilience that other people do.
I think about
You
that.
know?
I genuinely think about it all the time in the sense of like, again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Like my dad did well, and I grew up in a very nice home. You know, I didn't have to worry about anything. But my mom's side of the family was such pieces of shit that always caused us so much trouble. And she came, like, they were the wrong side of the tracks, motherfuckers. And like my grandma ran out on her, and like every Christmas was a fucking disappointment. And because I had that balance, it worked out for me. If everything had been just like sunshine and roses, there's no way that I would have made it in comedy. Because the first time somebody didn't book me, I'd been like, what? But I was like, yeah, I mean, my uncle didn't show up for Christmas last year because he was holding himself hostage against the GBI naked on meth. I'm okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, and then the next possible explanation for why they struggle with drug addiction more, and this one I found like kind of funny, is feelings of separation. And it says that wealthy people deal with a lot of feelings of otherness and not belonging because they don't fit in
Right.
with the rest of our society because they hit so hard.
Yeah.
And that's hard to deal with. So
Right.
then you'll do a whole bunch of cocaine. You know what I mean? And that's one of those where I'm just like, the other ones we talked about is whatever, but this one I'm sort of like, you can miss me with that.
Right.
like
You're
like,
right.
I don't fit in because I hit so much harder than everybody
Just hang out
else.
with people who hit.
It's like, why don't you just keep hitting harder
yeah,
than everybody
right.
else and
Why
not
would
worry
you
about
want to
it?
hang out with the people that don't hit?
Yeah. Excessive pressure to achieve.
Oh,
is
yeah.
another thing.
You've got to
they
be
feel
like your daddy.
You got to hit real hard if you got a lot of money in your family, because people in your family hit real hard. And if you feel like you can't hit real hard, then maybe you'll smoke crack.
Like,
or
not to
whatever.
get political,
Hunter
but like
Biden, where's his laptop at?
Well,
you know?
I was going to say not to get political, but like Donald Trump Jr., you know what I mean? Like, he's got to live up to that dude's name, and he seems like he's doing a lot of cocaine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel like
I seems. I think seems.
And I guess that's sort of what happens with a lot of them.
Chet Hanks.
And I guess right now I'm saying that I get it.
I do get it.
Because I feel like in that scenario, just like...
if it happens enough, you have to get it.
Just give up on trying. Do you know what I mean?
Just hit.
Like, just be like, I've got all this money I can just spend and fucking do whatever. So, like, why try to do anything?
We talk about this. We talk about this ad nauseum. I want to achieve, right? I have a huge desire to achieve the most in my life. But do you know why? So that I can make enough money to where I don't have to give a shit anymore. If I just already had that much money, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Right.
I would just go play golf every goddamn day. Just
it almost makes you kind of respect the rich kids who actually do
stuff. Yes, I do. I do.
Because why bother?
Yeah, right. I respect the shit out of Nick Kroll.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not afraid to say, like, he's a great dude. We've done shows
he's
together.
very open about his whole thing.
Of course he is. Like, he grew up super rich, but he really wants to do that.
And he's super talented.
And he's super good at it. And he was like, I'm not going to come in here and not hit. He's so fucking awesome.
He's a great guy.
But, like, he's a wonderful guy. But he easily could just not do anything. And, like, no one on earth could fucking fault him for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's physical and emotional isolation from their parents. So their parents being away all the time because
they're rich.
They're out there hitting. And so they're not with their parents. So they're just trying to fill the void with something else. So that's why you get rich people doing a whole bunch of drugs, you know. And apparently what that amounts to is, according to this article I found, children of the wealthy are 2 to 3 times more likely to have drug and alcohol addiction problems. 2 to 3 times. That's a lot, especially when you think about like all the trash we know that's got drug and alcohol problems. You know what I mean?
Can I, and maybe this is about to fuck you up, but can I posit one of the reasons?
Well, I haven't gotten to the main reason yet. Go ahead.
It's definitely what I think.
You might be about to hit it.
They have money to spend on
exactly,
drugs.
yes,
It's like
yes,
every poor person
yes,
wants to do that
yes,
amount of drugs.
Yes, no,
They
yes.
just didn't have the money.
That was I was building up to that,
Yeah.
but you got there in front of me.
I
yes.
could not. I mean,
yes, no, yeah. The main thing is they have access to the funds to do so.
Like a poor kid would love to do that cocaine.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah.
Now, granted, when I was in high school, Percocets cost $3 a piece. And if you're a 17-year-old listening to this from East Tennessee, I know that makes you want to fucking throw up because I don't even know how much they are now. But, like, dude, you could go to school when I was a kid with $5 and get fucked up every goddamn day. Now, granted, gas was also 88 cents at that point. So you got to work backwards on inflation and shit like that. But, like, cocaine and shit was not a big thing at my school. You know what I mean? Because that was like, well, we don't have that much money, but everybody can like spend a couple bucks on some pills and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But if everyone had a lot of money, holy fuck, dude, it would be ecstasy cocaine fest all fucking day.
Right. And so those are most of the commonly held beliefs as far as why rich people do drugs. Poor people and drugs, by the way, there's no studies have found consistently, there's no cause and effect relationship between poverty and addiction. But poverty-stricken people have, you know, a real tendency to be drug addicted at the same time. And their reasons are pretty different. Because, they are, but they're not. It's basically just like rich people, they're like, everything hits. But I don't.
So I need to
fill
fill this void.
And with poor people, it's like, nothing hits. Also, I don't.
hit.
So I
I'll
should
do
probably have drugs, right? Yeah,
'Cause that
right.
hits.
It's like just looking for an escape from reality because reality is so fucking nightmarish.
Right.
And there's,
It's the thing between,
nothing
like,
else there.
Happy people drink and sad people drink. But happy people drink because it's a celebration. Sad people drink because they're sad and they're like, well, at least I'll feel good for a second.
Right.
That's the poor person's complex with doing drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like rich people, they like get fucked up to just feel something
Right.
because they're so immune to everything hitting so hard. And then poor people are so used to everything not hitting at all that they're trying to feel that particular
Or
something. Do you
they're
know what I
trying
mean?
to not feel.
Yeah.
Like
or
with
not
heroin and shit
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
where it's just like, I just want to be zonked out because, yes, I know this will kill me and I'm probably going to puke a lot, but for 8 hours, I'll just be, and it's kind of like a time machine. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, dude, whenever I was like, so I've never been like, poor because there was all like my dad was always doing good, so it's not like I was ever in jeopardy of being on the streets. But whenever I was doing stand up and I was like, I'm on my own, I'm doing this shit, I don't want none of y'all shit. The little money that I had, I always spent on drugs.
Right.
Because, like, everything did suck. Like, I had a real shitty house. I couldn't afford cable. And I was like, but if I could, like, have an Oxycontin, the next 8 hours would hit. And then 8 hours later, I'd be back to fucking square one. But then you just find $20 more.
Well, that's why I've always been like, people talk about welfare and shit like that. And they're like, oh, they'll just spend it on booze or whatever. And I'm always just like,
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Fucking they should. If they got kids, they should also spend it on formula and diapers and whatnot. But like, nothing hits for them.
Right.
Let them drink some goddamn beer.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Greg
that
Giraldo.
doesn't mean it's like, and also the people that say that they fucking get hammered,
They
and do
get
drugs,
drunk
all
too.
this shit, and they're like, well, yeah, but I hit, so I'm allowed
Right.
to do it. And it's like, no, fuck that.
Right. Geraldo used to have that bit about like it was like when Katrina happened, and he was like, yeah, he's like, these people are like, yeah, look at all these Katrina victims. They're sitting there on top of their house fucking hammered and spending all the money on booze. And it's like, oh, you can't really invest $20 if you're on top of your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, let them get fucked up. Like, if this wave's going to wash over us, like, I might as well have a buzz.
Right.
It's like, that's
like everybody, was so rich off the stimulus checks of, $1,600 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
they're still
exactly.
talking about that. Like, that's why nobody wants to work. And like,
because they have $1,600.
Also, unemployment's at a record low, by the way.
Right.
But they're like, oh, nobody wants to fucking work because they got stimulus
$1,600
checks
2 years
18
ago.
months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, like, if you only have $20, you have to buy a sandwich. You got to eat, and then so now you got $8 left. It's like, what investment do you make with $8 when someone has a Percocet? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what it to me, the logic is so sound. Like, if you're broke and you can afford a pill, take it, because it'll hit for, well, I say 8 hours.
No, it's like you say. It's like if you got a fan belt that's out or whatever, like $8 ain't gonna just fix that.
it, right? But it'll make you feel better about it.
$8 will make you feel better, but yeah, exactly.
Right.
It'll make you give a less of a fuck
Right,
about it.
$8 ain't gonna pay your rent. It ain't gonna
Right.
put gas in your car, but it'll make you feel better about the fact that you can't do either of them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then you'll figure it out later.
Yeah, man.
If you do really good drugs, you don't spend a lot of money on food either.
That's true.
So, one thing I wanted to say in this whole conversation about drugs and stuff is I just wanted to lament our situation with getting into Hollywood when we did, because
the Quaaludes are gone.
I thought, we get to Hollywood and there'd just be mountains of cocaine in every boardroom we ever went into, and I got to tell y'all, that ain't true.
Water bottle.
I don't know if it's because we just don't hit enough
No.
or what, but I thought there would be just piles of snow and that's how Hollywood's supposed to work. And they're either hiding it from us or they just ain't got it no more. I don't know. I think maybe it's a mixture of both, but
Well, we've
it's
also
upsetting.
talked about how we assumed there was a depository of Quaaludes left over from the 80s that once we got out here, they would be like, by the way, we still have them.
they'd open up the Quaaludes vault.
Right. Not only that, not only are they not as prevalent as I thought they would be. Now, when you do get it, it will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's fucking what's the
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl. Like you can't even like. So I've retired from doing drugs. Definitely now because of the fentanyl shit. Like I won't fucking take a bump of shit. But even back in the day, like I used to do drugs all the time. But then there was a point where I was like, I don't do drugs all the time. But if I'm at a party and somebody offers it to me, that's different. Because I've never been someone who, like, if I take a line, that means that for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to be at the fucking casino whacked out of my mind. So I would always be like, well, I don't do drugs anymore, but if we're at a party and somebody gives me a bump, I'll do a bump. But now you can't even just do a bump because, like, some goddamn, I don't know a word to say here, person will have put in fentanyl in it. And we used to talk about, we're like, why would anyone want to give away free drugs? But like, they clearly are doing that, and it will just kill you, and it will stop a cop smooth in their tracks. If they smell that shit, they'll be like, boogity, boogity, boogity. So like, I don't do drugs no more. And why was I talking about this?
I don't know. I don't remember either. But anyway, we missed out on all the drugs hitting in this.
Yes, we did.
In this game. And that's whatever. That's our cross to bear. But yeah, that's more than enough about drugs. So
sorry, I got drunk and spaced out.
That's okay. No, yeah. Drugs hit for everybody.
They do.
And they also, ruin everybody's lives.
You know why I got drunk and spaced out? Because I take antidepressants now and I'm mixing drugs and alcohol.
Hits.
Yeah.
Does hit.
Pretty fun.
All right. Speaking of hits, here comes History of Professor Cho, everybody, right after this.
This episode is brought to you by CarShield, who makes it easy and affordable to protect my car from expensive repairs, and that's just for starters. CarShield is the #1 auto protection company in the U.S. and offers protection plans for around $100 a month. The plans cover more parts than ever before, whether your car has 5,000 miles or, like mine, 150,000 miles. Let me tell you how simple it is to get your car fixed. When you need a repair, you choose the mechanic, and CarShield's administrators handle the rest. That's it. You don't have to deal with the paperwork, the headaches. You're taken care of. And the same goes if your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, which has happened to me several times as a working comedian. Plans through CarShield also include coast-to-coast roadside assistance. CarShield administrators are there for you with rental car options and trip reimbursement at no extra cost as well. Get coverage today and you'll lock in your price now and it will never go up. That means as long as you own your car, no matter how old it is, you're protected from the rising costs of parts and repairs for your vehicle. CarShield helps protect my wallet from expensive car repairs, and they'll do the same for you. Go to carshield.com/podcast to start your plan and lock in your pricing forever. That's carshield.com/podcast. A deductible may apply.
Listen, man, I know it sounds too good to be true, but I want you to just do me a favor and run on over to savewithconrad.com. Get yourself a quick quote. My man Andy M. just left us a 5-star review over at conradreviews.com, and he had this to say. The effort and communication from Josh was above and beyond. We ran into several unexpected hiccups along the way, but Josh kept us informed and kept looking for options to get things done. In the end, we were still able to refinance to a 15-year loan, or we're going to be able to pay it off in 10. And we took enough cash out to pay off our credit cards, my truck loan, and even buy my wife her very first new vehicle. We're going to save over $500 a month from what we would have been paying without the refinance. We can't thank everyone enough. Now, guys, that right there is a win-win-win situation. Let me explain. Over the last couple of years, your house is probably worth more than ever. Now, what you do with that equity is up to you. And what I'm going to recommend is we do what our man Andy did. Andy took himself from a 30-year loan down to 15 years, but he's planning to pay it off in 10. Now, how can he afford to do that? We got rid of all his credit card debt, just like that. We got rid of his truck loan, and we even got him enough cash to get his wife a new vehicle. The result? Cheaper monthly payments. How does that happen? How do you get a new car, pay off a truck, and get rid of your credit cards and cut years off your loan? You go to savewithconrad.com. We're going to get you cheaper monthly payments, and how's this for starters? No house payments for the next 2 months. That's right. You can skip your next 2 payments. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. And buddy, if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And here's the best part. We don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. I don't care if you were late here or there. Maybe you had a bankruptcy back in the day. Maybe you were late on a credit card. We're going to help you figure out how to get in the situation that your family needs now and long term. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life at SaveWithConrad.com.
All right, y'all, it's time once again for History of Professor Cho. This time we're talking about...
Back, baby.
Back, baby?
I'm back, baby.
You back, baby.
Yeah.
He is back, baby, yeah.
Look at that. Have we shown this yet?
Corey, back, baby. Forrester, look at the portfolio there.
Yeah.
That's...
Airheads, send me a scarf to put here in the back of this jean pocket. I'll rock it.
So what's the subject?
Oh, it is the Dreyfus Affair.
Dreyfus Affair. Okay, yeah, I have no idea.
Me either.
I don't know, but it's like you said in the last episode, if it's the something affair, I know it's probably going to hit. So, yeah, but I don't have a fucking clue what this is.
And
so.
for the record, I'm trying to be languagely correct. I definitely read this.
Languagely correct, all right.
What would you say?
Linguistically?
Yep. That's the word. Yep. That's the word. When I first saw it, I was immediately like, well, the Dreyfus Affair, because I thought of Richard Dreyfus, you know. But apparently in France, it is pronounced Dreyfus. Yeah. Even though most people definitely, if you've heard of the Dreyfus Affair, you probably said it, the Dreyfus Affair.
So in France, I say Dreyfus.
Dreyfus.
That's what I say in France, yeah.
Yeah.
Dreyfus. It's not Dreyfus.
You know what?
The Dreyfus Affair.
You know what? That's actually...
The Dreyfus Affair.
Maybe I read it wrong. It should have been, but I listened to this. Like I heard this on like a podcast or something. That's the only reason I knew is because somebody was like, "It's actually Dreyfus." Okay. You know what I mean? So this was a political scandal that divided the French Third Republic from 1894 to 1906. Well, this is kind of getting back to what you're saying. What most French people, Franzians, the French.
Yeah, Franzians that's wine Americans, I think.
Oh, right. What are the French called?
The French?
Yeah.
I think it's just the French.
Yeah, they refer to it as l'affaire.
Right. Okay, well, that's easier.
That makes sense.
L'affaire.
L'affaire. That's what they call it in France, and that is a phrase that they sort of use to symbolize modern injustice or when someone is fucked over, which I guess they kind of use that in the same way that we use blank gate.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like whenever there's some sort of scandal, we're like, this is deflate gate or this is whatever gate. Whenever someone is getting fucked over and something injustice happening to them, they go, this is l'affaire.
Okay.
Say l'affaire.
L'affaire.
L'affaire. So, Alfred Dreyfus was a French artillery officer who just happened to be Jewish. So he's a Jewish guy, and he is a artillery officer in the French army. And at the end of 1894, he was accused of handing secret documents to the Imperial German military.
That ain't it.
No, that ain't it.
Being a traitor.
A traitor, and also, like, of all people, to hand documents to the Germans, a Jew.
That ain't it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I found the most interesting.
Didn't he know about them?
Well, clearly, I mean, this was fucking, like, what year did I say it was? This is 19...
They hadn't really got on their bullshit.
Yeah, this is 1894 to 1906. I'm sure that they were, like, starting to hate Jews.
Yeah, right.
But, like...
They hadn't really ramped up.
Yeah, right.
They hadn't got into fucking fifth Jew-hating gear yet by then.
As we all know, as the Herfy-Derfy phase. They had so he's accused of fucking treason, being a traitor. They had a closed trial, and he was found guilty of treason and sentenced to life in prison. He was deported to Devil's Island. Trey, have you ever heard of Devil's Island?
I have not. Never once.
The Devil's Island is where the Phantom of the Opera escaped.
To or from?
From.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the Phantom of the Opera?
No.
Me either.
He wears a mask, plays the organ, and freaks people out.
Well, apparently he was at Devil's Island.
Yeah.
And then he escaped from there, and then he played somebody's organ.
Yeah. Okay.
It is also a film starring Boris Karloff, The Devil's Island, and also in a 2003 episode of Futurama titled Bend Her, a play on the character Bender.
Voiced by John DiMaggio,
John
right?
DiMaggio.
For whom we both hit.
Friend of the show, John
Friend of the
DiMaggio,
show, yeah.
who I talked to actually earlier today. How you doing, John? In a 2003 episode of Futurama titled Ben-Hur, Devil's Island entered itself into the 3004 Olympics as a independent country. It's a famous prison. That's what I'm getting at, Trey.
Devil's Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super.
Like Alcatraz?
Yes, and I didn't know about it, but then I clicked on it and started doing some research, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of pop culture references to Devil's Island. So it's a super famous prison, and as you can imagine, if a prison is famous, it's not because it
Hits
hit.
to be there?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It was a horrible prison.
Mhm.
I mean, they tortured motherfuckers left
What
and
part
right.
of the world? Is this in the Mediterranean somewhere? Like what-
France, I guess.
But it's an actual island?
Russ, look up
So it's in
Devil's
the-
Island. French Guyana. Yeah,
Yeah.
French Guyana.
Okay.
Yeah. Hell on earth for 100
It's
years.
wild because if you look at that picture, it's like,
Looks like it
that's
hits.
paradise. That hits.
Yeah, but if they beat you on it,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That don't hit. So the French political class absolutely hated this fucking guy because he's a traitor, but not everybody in his purview was convinced that he was actually a traitor. Mainly his brother, which like I mean I get that. Like if you were accused of something, even if like most of the evidence pointed towards you did it,
You'd be like, no, he hits.
he's my boy.
Yeah.
He hits.
You got to.
Right. And I've never like you see that shit all the time where like somebody defends their friend publicly and everybody's like, look at this motherfucker. And it's like, what do you want him to
Mhm.
do? Like that's
Right.
that's his boy. So his brother, they feared that this was here's what they feared was that it was just anti-Semitism. They were just like, it's just because he's a Jew, right? And so his brother Matthew, which look at the spelling of Matthew, Mathe.
Right. That's
You-
that's the French
the French
version.
Matthew.
Yeah. Matthew.
Which that's my new favorite pronunciation.
His
of
brother Matthew.
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 He hired this freelance journalist named Bernard Lazare to help him prove it. And in 1896, Colonel George Picard, who was the head of counter-espionage, he found some strong evidence that the real traitor was actually a guy by one of my favorite villain names ever, Fernando Walson Etherzay. I mean, how'd that guy not do it? You know what
Fernando Walson.
I mean? Ferdinand Walson Etherzay.
That sounds like a combination of three different types of Europe.
That's
to
what I'm
me.
saying. Ferdinand Walson Etherzay.
Okay.
So that's the dude. He was like, no, it was that motherfucker. He did that shit. So the government was like, nah, fuck that, don't hit. And they refused to reconsider their judgment. So his family, they're crushed, they're desperate. So they reach out to the head of the Senate, Augusta Schrever Kessner,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
So they could hopefully persuade him with all this new evidence. And actually, about 3 months into his own investigation, Auguste decides that Dreyfus is innocent. Or Dreyfus is innocent. So this guy who was normally, not on his team was just like, holy shit, I've seen
he ain't do that shit.
he ain't do that shit. Now, I was going to bring this up at the end, but it fits right here. One of the reasons that this guy was like, oh, damn, I don't think that he handed illegal documents to the Germans was because, and this was actually sent in to the court records. So there was Exhibit A was basically like, this motherfucker, here's his handwritten shit that he turned into the Germans. And they had like all the handwriting experts at the time come in to like analyze that shit. And every single one of them was like, yeah, that's not at all his handwriting. So the judge and everybody was like, he's smart. He faked his own handwriting.
It's like, what even is the point of the handwriting expert?
Because they were like, this
Like,
guy's...
that's clearly not it. And like, that's just what he wants you to think.
And it's funny
It's
because, like,
why did I come here?
and
Like, if the guy had been like, yeah, that clearly is it,
right.
then they would have been like, I don't know.
And so,
I don't trust it. It's like they had the ultimate result in their head before the process even started, which is
Right.
weird that a justice system would do something like that. You
I know. It's almost unprecedented.
Right.
But, like, so basically, when I first hear this whole, like, well, they were arguing against anti-Semitism, I was like, well, probably everybody hated the Jews back then. Hell, I don't know. But
Most of history would lead you to believe that was
that
true.
the Jews were hated.
Yeah.
But I was like, but in my brain, I was like, all right, let's go into this going like, but sometimes Jews don't hate. You know what I mean? It's not like a
Right.
Jew couldn't have done something bad.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, if I'm a Jew and I did something bad, the first thing I would say was, he's an anti-Semite.
Of course. Yeah.
100%.
Right. Yes.
I don't fault them for that shit at all. I'd have done that. You know what I mean? Like, if I went to jail in fucking England, I'd been like, it's because I sound like this. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you got to do. And I wasn't really like 100% convinced until they got to the whole like, well, clearly he forged his own handwriting and therefore it's his fault. And I was like, maybe this was some fucking anti-Semitism. So, where am I at here? Oh, so his family's crushed, desperate. They reach out to the head of the Senate, Augusta. I said this, didn't I? Augusta Chevrier Kessner. So they would hopefully. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yes.
So they would.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
So they would persuade him with all this new evidence, and actually about 3 months in this, so this motherfucker's like, I think this guy's innocent. So Augustus convinces some newspaper reporters and some members of the Chamber of Deputies, which I don't know what the fuck that is, that dude is innocent, and they start running their mouths, and the next thing you know, old Esterhazy, which is that son of a bitch who was just like,
Okay.
he gets brought to charges, which he's acquitted of. He's the guy that they thought, like, no, it was him that did this shit, right? They're like, it's Esterhazy that did this shit. He gets brought to charges, and then he's acquitted. He's acquitted, but for some reason, he still shaves his mustache off and leaves France, which to me is not is not something that an innocent man does, right?
I don't know. Was it one of those deals where like everybody had already like
Made up their mind?
Was it put in the public and the papers and shit that he was that dude already? Because if
Kind of.
if that had happened, I feel like even when you get exonerated, shave your mustache and leave France.
Maybe,
you know
but
what I mean?
like-
Because like, why deal with that bullshit otherwise?
Maybe, but
If that had not happened, then yes, I agree with you. There's no reason to do that. But
apparently most of the newspapers at that time were very anti-Semitic.
no.
I know they hadn't bought them yet. So most of the papers at that time were anti-Semitic, and so like the general population genuinely thought like, no, this is a fucking kangaroo court. This motherfucker did it. Of course he's appealing the trial. Like, why wouldn't you do that? So like, I don't know. Of course, there's some gray areas here, but I guess this guy, I mean, again, to me, that's just him being like, I'm going to get found out eventually. I'm going to shave my mustache and I'm going to flee to, where'd all the Germans go after World War II? Argentina. So he's probably there. So France is divided as fuck over this because with this new evidence, the case has come back to national prominence. A lot of that was like kind of going on in kind of subtly while a bunch of other bullshit was happening. But then when this comes out, everybody's like reading the tabloids again. They're just like, oh shit, you remember that motherfucker that we thought was like passing documents and shit? Like they're talking about that again. And it turns out maybe he didn't do that shit. And everybody's just like, he's a Jew, right? And they're like, he is a Jew.
I'm like, oh, so he did that shit.
Yeah, right. And they're like, no, he is a Jew.
Why
but-
are we even talking about
Yeah,
this?
right. I mean, like, for real. And so
Yeah, well, yeah.
as soon as that happened,
Of course, that's what they did. and said.
anti-Semitic riots start turning up pretty much everywhere in France, and a whole shit ton of people died. So during all this, the army tries to squash the case. And my thought is that it's more because they didn't want to look wrong more so than they cared about all the people that were dying. Do you know what I'm saying?
That don't sound like a regime to me.
You don't think
I
so?
can't imagine a regime would do something like that. Try
Really?
to save face
Yeah.
in opposition to the truth.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I don't know, Trey. I've got it here in my denim notebook.
Well, if you say so, then maybe that's what happened.
So the Army, they're trying to squash this case again because they're just like, this is not a good look for us. And then, surprisingly, which normally I would say didn't happen for Jews in the early 1900s, the initial conviction...
Things hit.
Yeah, the initial conviction was overturned, and he got a new court-martial in 1899. Would you like to know what happened?
They say he did that shit?
Yep, they convicted him again. They convicted
Still
him.
a Jew?
Yeah,
All right.
don't hit.
Next.
Why aren't we doing this again?
Yeah.
So he was convicted again and sentenced to 10 years hard labor, which is a funny sounding punishment.
They had all them rocks and needed to be busted.
Right.
Well, like hard labor, like, I mean, I guess sometimes you do have rocks that need to be busted.
I'm just saying, imagine.
But it feels like that's all they ever did
But
was
like,
just like bust rocks up.
you can
And
only
it almost
sentence
feels like it's like, see all them big rocks? Let's just have them turn them into little rocks.
Yeah.
Cause
For
we
this
need them to do
bitch's
something.
driveway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, cause don't it feel to you like throughout history most of hard labor was just busting
Making rocks. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For like a railroad or something.
Yeah.
But like, I wanted to say this, like, hard labor is only a punishment that you can give someone who's never done it. Because like, there's a lot of people probably in Salina where if like they got caught with a joint and they were like, you're sentenced to 10 years hard labor, they'd be like, so
I'll just keep doing what I've been
doing? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? So he was sentenced to 10 years hard labor. However, President Emile Loubet,
Okay.
President Emile Loubet came in and pardoned him, to which I got to say, why don't you just do that?
Why did he pardon him?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he hit for him.
Yeah.
But it's like he watched the whole trial.
Right.
He could have just been like, nah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But he let the whole trial go on and then was just like, fuck that hard labor shit. I pardon him. But like, to me, if you've got, am I wrong here? If you've got the ability to pardon someone, you could also just be
stop
like,
it from happening to
quit
begin
wasting
with.
government
Yeah.
money on this fucking trial.
I don't know. Maybe in his head he was like, well, if
Hopefully
they,
they'll exonerate
Yeah,
him and I
right,
won't
yeah.
have to waste this political favor or whatever.
Right.
So in 1906, his innocence was officially established as irrevocable by the Supreme Court and he was reinstated. I'm going to just say this, and I hope that you come to the same conclusion as me. Can I do that? In 1906, his innocence was officially established as irrevocable by the Supreme Court, and he was reinstated to the Army and then participated in the First World War.
Yeah, that hurts.
That just seems
Here's
like a
your
bad
prize.
deal. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. They were like, you're free.
Yeah.
So we got this world
Yeah,
war
right,
going
yeah.
on.
Yeah, welcome to the front. Yeah. It's like, in honor of you being exonerated, we've built you this trench
Yeah.
across from the Germans who are in a real shelling mood.
So during this whole time, this like caused like a huge uprising between the political classes of France, which were like the straight monarchists and the Republicans. Like they got in a huge fight over this because like the monarchists were just like, under our rule, this ought not be. And the Republicans was like, well, fuck him. He was selling secrets to the Germans. And then the monarchists was like, but like, he didn't do that though. And so I don't know why y'all did this. And they were like, well, y'all shouldn't exist anyways if we're going to be talking about that. Like, monarchy shouldn't be a thing. And they were like, you know,
Please do not chop our heads off.
oh, yes.
We would prefer to keep our heads on our shoulders.
So, by the way, I mentioned this part about his handwriting. So during the trial too, they interrogated his family, And when they interrogated his family, it was so intense that they come into his house and they interrogate his family, and it's so intense that his wet nurse just started puking everywhere. Like she just started vomiting.
His wet nurse is in. He had a baby.
He had a baby.
Okay, all right.
He had a baby, and they come in and they start interrogating his family, and like his
She's
wet nurse
suck
hears
it,
it.
blue.
Yeah,
and just
she
starts
was-
throwing up everywhere. Yeah, right.
Which is how a French person throws up. So she starts, and that's when they knew he was guilty.
Cannot stand the pressure.
When his wet nurse started vomiting, they were just like, well, this motherfucker did it. You know what I mean? Lots of people thought, this is one of my favorite things here. So, lots of people thought that the fact that they had such a high-ranking Jew was proof that the army was corrupt. So they were like, I bet they framed this Jew because the fact that the army would even have a high-ranking Jew
Something's fishy about that.
means that they're corrupt.
Right.
Therefore,
Right.
they framed this
Right.
Jew,
Right. Yeah.
which is one of the first instances of anti-Semitism working out for
Right,
the Semite,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They also that's all about the affair, but like sincerely, anti-Semitism saved him because like so much of the
Right. Clearly, they'd never let a Jew hit this hard in the first place.
Right.
If they weren't going to try to railroad this Jew.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
They were like, the fact that they even let this Jew be a high-ranking military officer means that they don't know what the fuck they're doing, which means that, of course, they would fuck around documents to fuck over this head explodes Jew.
Yeah.
Right. So he was yada, yada, yada. He finally gets let free. He goes to fucking World War I. That was his, like, behind this door prize. But he was never the same again because at the Devil's Island, he was super malnourished, as you can imagine. It was a very horrible prison. He, like, they like ostracized him from everybody. Not only they put him in solitary, they wouldn't even let like guards talk to him.
Yeah, might catch the Jew.
Yeah, right. So like he didn't talk for like a couple years, and because of that, apparently scientifically, if you don't exercise your throat muscles, it goes away. So like he had a raspy voice his entire life because of years of not communicating with another person.
He would just talk to himself.
He probably did for
Or
a
the
while,
fake Lord
and then
or
just got
something.
like tired of it.
Yeah.
Their Lord is pretty fake, and
Most of them are.
well, no, most of them are. But like, here's the thing with Jews.
Yeah.
So let me
Here's
go.
the thing with Jews and their Lord. Yeah.
No, let me for a second. So you know that Jews don't believe in hell.
I did know that, yeah.
Well, then eat cheese and meat on the same fucking plate.
Buddy, I don't get Jews.
I don't get Jews
I
at
ain't
all.
never got Jews.
I'm for
Me and
'em.
my papa's the same way.
I'm for them. I'm for them. I'm
yeah,
just
no,
saying.
Jews
they're-
hit for me just fine.
I
but
love
yeah,
Jews. I just
no.
don't understand. Like, if you don't believe in,
I've known Jews, and I know you've also known Jews who proclaim they'll openly say they're not like religious and don't believe none of that
but they
shit,
still,
but they still stick to all the Jew rules,
diet.
all the jewels,
yeah,
the Jew rules, and it's like, well, why bother with that?
it don't make sense. Like, I understand, don't murder, don't
but
rape,
you
but
know,
like,
hell, that ain't for us to understand, Joe.
no, it's sure
We're
not.
Gentiles.
Well, anyways, that was my botched attempt at telling y'all about the what was it?
A
The
railroaded
Dreyfus,
Jew.
the Dreyfus Affair.
Yeah,
started
well, for me.
I started drinking it out. Y'all.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Well, yeah. Thank you, Professor Cho. Thank y'all for being here, and enjoy this edition of Clearing the Airs.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On
Howdy, Airheads. It's your boy, Corey Ryan Forrester, coming to you today. Sans Trae, because he is on the road and we just couldn't figure out how to make it work. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that there's no video. And that is because I don't know if I fell off the bed in my sleep, if my wife punched me, if I bit myself, or I was like night eating and I got too aggressive with some potato chips. But my lip is bleeding. It's just bleeding everywhere, and it won't quit bleeding. And I feel like it would be distracting for y'all to see me constantly blotting my bleeding lip, and also a little bit disgusting, so I have chosen not to do so. I also could have just, not said anything, but I'm a attention seeker, and I need y'all to know that I'm bleeding from my face. Otherwise, it would be business as usual. Like I said, Trey's not here, so a little bit different clearing the airs this week, because right as I was about to click record, matter of fact, not even like I had done a version of this and then found out that Queen Elizabeth has died. So obviously, people feel differently about Queen Elizabeth depending on who you are and depending on where you come from and all that good stuff. But she was the queen for 70 years, which is insanely remarkable. If you're just now listening to Puttin On Airs for the first time, episode 10, entitled Horses and the Queen, I did kind of an overview of Queen Elizabeth's life, and I told that I was going to take key events from her life and make full episodes out of those, but I did a little overview of her life, including talking about Operation London Bridge, which is what they, media and the state and all that has had implemented. Like, they've had a whole system in place for the second that she dies. And I won't bore you with it here, but you can listen to that on episode 10. But we just wanted to say, from Puttin On Airs to anyone over there who is listening, rest in peace, and we're sorry. I don't know how y'all feel about her or if you're listening to this, but at the same time, I know that she's a very important person to a great many of people. And regardless of how you feel about her, she reigned for 70 years, y'all. Her first prime minister was Winston Churchill. It is unfathomable what in history has happened under her quote-unquote reign. It is, she's the only one I've ever known. Obviously, she's the only queen my mother has ever known. She has reigned for 7 years longer than my father has been alive. It's baffling. There have been wonderful, dramatic moments in her life that obviously we're going to talk about on Puttin On Airs, and we have talked about on Puttin On Airs. She will leave a lasting legacy. What that legacy is, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to understand. I think also I may have mentioned on this episode, I may have made like an off-color joke about people thinking that the Queen killed Princess Diana. I was just trying to be funny, which I did think it was funny. But y'all know that we record these way in advance. So if you're listening to this, it's not like we just did it and I decided to be the most disrespectful person on earth. I mean, I was being disrespectful then, but my timing was a lot better. Do you understand me? Oh, my goodness. So, yeah. I have to imagine that when we get back together to do our next batch of episodes for Puttin On Airs, we will probably do maybe another special tribute episode to the Queen. And we do want to thank her and the royal family for providing us with tremendous comedic fancy fodder for the last 25 or 26 episodes of Puttin On Airs, whatever we're on right now. I can't keep up. You know that's producer Russ's job. But thank y'all for listening to Puttin On Airs. And like I said, if you haven't listened to it before, go back and listen to episode 10, Horses and the Queen. And yeah, man, it's about to get crazy over there, y'all. It is about to get absolutely bonkers. They're going to be shut down for 12 days. Oh, and by the way, my mama is currently wearing black and has told me that she's going to wear black for the whole 12 days of mourning. My mom is a huge Anglophile, just like me and Trey, except for that, like, the difference between us is that we're fascinated and find it all entertaining. My mother is enthralled, and, like, I'm pretty sure that if America decided to have kings and queens, that would hit for my mom, as long as it was Queen Elizabeth, because she loved her. So rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. Thank y'all for listening to Puttin On Airs. Like, subscribe, download, tell all your friends, leave us a 5-star review if you don't mind. Go see Trae on the road at TRECrowder.com. He is touring without me right now, but I'll be back with him in the fall, and you can grab those tickets as well at TRECrowder.com or at wellreadcomedy.com. And you can also see the other stuff I'm doing at CoreyWritesForYou.com. That's CoreyWritesForYou.com. I do essays and bonus podcasts and videos and such. We do a joke of the day every day, and it's $5 a month. $5, cup of coffee. If you can skip a cup of coffee to afford the $5, or if you can't afford it at all, you're like, Corey, dude, I got kids, or I got medical bills, or I'm out of work, or I'm on strike, or hey, I live in England and they're about to shut down the economy for 12 days. I need the money. All you got to do is email me at buttercreamcorey@gmail.com, and I will comp you absolutely no questions asked. Again, that's CoreyWritesForYou.com. Go see Trae on the road at TraeCrowder.com. And if you're not already watching episodes of Puttin On Airs, I encourage you to do so, because I think it's funnier that way. And you can get them at WatchPOA.com. Love y'all, and R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth, a.k.a. Lilibet.